Okay, so yeah, I really wanted to reach out to you guys just because I had done a bunch of research and I came across your program and I thought it was really cool. And so pretty much I'd like to just learn some more info about it. So
Okay.
to begin, could you just explain what the Gift of Music Foundation is and how you became a part of it?
All right. It is a nonprofit organization. Well, how I became a part of it, or how it became into existence. What's your question?
Both. You can go into both.
Both. All right. This came out of a need for music in the Atlanta Public Schools in Atlanta, Georgia. In
Mm-hmm.
2015, we went to a charter system model, and that gave schools the autonomy to make their own decisions, create their own staff, budgeting, and as a result, a lot of elementary band teachers lost their positions,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of so we lost that elementary music component in our school system. That was 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and My teacher Arthur McClinton and Chris Monroe got together and they started this nonprofit to try to put music back in the schools. And it started by with Arthur McClinton. He was one of the teachers that got whose job was abolished, and he was teaching elementary music after school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then he would need instruments, and so the program began to get instruments, help kids have music after school, and then cost was the issue. And at that time, it was given to kids at no cost. It was a no cost program just to put the elementary band back into the schools.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I was a general music teacher, and I had been at my school 13 years as the choral teacher, and we had just lost our orchestra and band teacher. Arthur McClinton, who was one of the people that helped out to start the organization, he taught me methods and techniques in college. So I knew
Oh.
what I knew from college.
Ah.
And when I told him I didn't have band anymore, he said, "Well, if you get the kids together, I'll send you a band teacher." And so it started, and my principal let it happen after school. And my principal said, "Well, we can do this, but only if you're present," because they wasn't a part of the school.
Right.
And so I volunteered the first year, and the next year I came on as a band teacher because, like, I played in band in high school, but in college I joined the chorus. So I was really my only experience in band music was high school.
Mm-hmm.
But after that first year, I began to teach band, and now I'm the program director for the organization. We asked that um, we started out with 5 schools. Three of those schools actually brought band teachers back. So through our efforts, they saw the need for band,
Right.
and they actually brought the band teacher back to the school. But now we have 4 schools still. My school is still one of the school, Heritage Academy, and 3 of the schools we have after school band. And since they don't have instruments, we also get them instruments to the organization as well too. And so it's just a way to give affordable music lessons to kids in the program. It started out being completely free,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then it went to $10 a year, and now it's $10 a month for parents. So parents pay $10 a month for an that school program to give them an instrument and a certified band teacher.
Wow.
And so yeah, and so did that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Um, could you talk more about like how the after school program like runs and get more into that?
Okay. How it runs. Okay. I partner with the general music teacher in the various schools, and most schools end class around 2:30, and so 2 days a week. The band teacher will go to the school and do band for an hour. And so they actually go to the school in a classroom and give band instruction for 1 hour.
Mhm.
And this is 3 through 5.
Okay.
The blessing in this is that our kids, although they are doing it only after school, they leave us playing grade 1 music, and we had about 5 kids. Normally congregate, say, in the gym. The band teacher go get the kids from the gym and then go to a designated place in the building, give them an hour band lesson, and then dismiss twice a week.
Nice.
Oh, and through the foundation actually pays the band teachers as well too, a stipend for doing this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so did you say you are one of the band teachers? So you do that?
Yes, I do that as
Okay,
well.
so you run one of those?
Well, I started out, in the ideal world, I would run without teach. But because there are so many kids in the program, I find myself running the program and also teaching as well too. So yes, I run and teach. This is my first year. I'm trying not to teach, but because there are so many numbers and we have so less little staff, as of next week, I'm gonna be teaching again this year. So yes, I run and teach.
Gotcha. Okay. So with these programs, who are the types of people that you're like targeting with them? Is it children like in elementary school only, or are you also like trying to target just anyone in general who wants to get better music education?
Because this was formed out of as a response to the school system abolishing elementary music positions.
Mm-hmm.
We focus on elementary music positions, students, and then partnering with the middle and high schools.
Okay.
Because like a lot of middle schools have band already. A lot of high schools have band already. But to ask you about target, when I said every school has autonomy to choose, the schools that lost the program were the schools that had the less money, where their kids are less advantaged kids.
Right.
Because in a school system, say where that's more affluent, they have more resources to make sure that those programs stay afloat. Mm-hmm. And so ironically, our programs have been in Title I schools. Well, we started out there, but now we have more affluent schools. But it started out in those times, right? It started out in Title I schools, but now anybody who doesn't have music, who wants it?
Yeah. Okay, so do you think that the lack of accessibility to music and musical resources is a problem that people face in the world today?
Do I think that's a problem that people face in the world today? It's funny you asked me that question, and I'm gonna tell you why. I was working on my doctorate degree, and I was trying to choose a topic to discuss. And this is a topic that I was very passionate about, that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. But there was not a lot of research in the area. And my teacher told me I had a treasure island topic. Like it's a topic that only I was passionate about and nobody cared about it. So I think it's a problem.
Yeah.
But even going back to my upbringing, like as a child, my mother went back to school when she was 26, and I was about 10 or whatever, and she became a teacher. Mm-hmm. So when she became a teacher, because all the other teacher kids play instruments, I played instruments because she had resources to now give me piano lessons,
Right.
right? But but my other friends didn't have the resources. So if you don't have the resources, you don't have the skill. And so
Right.
I think yes, I think music is important. And of course, I'm very passionate about music. I've been doing music all my life. My wife was a music teacher. My kids do music. So music is something I'm just both feet in for.
Right.
But I
Right.
know everybody is not that gung ho about music, But
And like you were saying, I think if you aren't brought up with, if you don't have those resources, you don't know like what all the stink is about. Like you don't know why it's so important until
yes,
you are given that opportunity.
yes, and I always tell people this: music is a gift that has to be given. If you don't give the gift, no one knows you have it, right? If you don't hear it, or if you don't, and so if people don't have access to that music, they wouldn't miss it. They wouldn't.
Right. Right.
So that access is what we're trying to do.
Right. So this kind of goes into my next question. On the website for this foundation, you guys say you're doing all this because music matters. So
Uh-huh.
could you kind of touch on why you think music is so important and why it's important for people to have access to it?
Wow.
I know it's kind of general, but
No. I mean, all right. I'm gonna make it narrow first and then broad.
okay.
All right. Why is it important first to elementary students, school students,
Mhm.
right? I tell my students all the time that music is a vehicle to get you out, to get you to college, or to get you places. Music is a vehicle. So say in my cluster, I partner with my band, the band teacher in my high school, and I went to college together. And so if you sit in his program for years, he guarantees you a band scholarship. So that's a way to college. Even if you don't major in music, that's a way to get out of where you are to get to college. I think music is a way of bringing people together. Music is, music. There's so much power in music. I'm also a worship leader in church, and just seeing how the power of this music bringing people together on one accord. It's just
Right.
music. I mean, I could talk about music all day long, but to stay with the organization, at the end of the day, we're in education, and we want to give students access to as much knowledge, as much information as possible. And when I tell a child about this path to college or a path to get, and I bring, I constantly bring volunteers in who use music as a tool to get where they want to go.
Mhm.
Maybe somebody use it to go to college, or use it to do this, use it to do that, and that gives that child something to hold on to. And so they say, well, oh, if I can do this, and also another side of this, another bigger side. I've been teaching now 20 years, right? And I saw a pattern of me running into former students who started their journey in college and didn't make it, or didn't finish for a reason, right?
Mhm.
And so I began to start researching, thinking, well, why is that happening? And so as I was trying to get one of my students back into college, I was talking to my former college student who's at Georgia State, my former college teacher, and he told me that there is there's a whole group of people who in elementary school everything comes easy to them, right? And the moment something is hard, they want to away from it. And
Mhm.
so music gives you that tool of teaching you how to be tenacious or persistent, not just giving up the first time. And
Right.
so developing that skill or that discipline that builds perseverance. And a lot of my kids, I can always tell a child who's a straight A student, because they come to band and the first time it doesn't work, they give up. And so and so I try to teach them push through, and so it also gives that that discipline. I'm also a Marine too, so so discipline and the drive. So I have a lot of, that's a very broad question for me to speak on off the cuff, but I hope I gave you
Yeah,
something from that,
definitely.
you know.
Yeah, I totally understand because I spoke to another band teacher last week and she was explaining it to me kind of how you are. And she was saying, like, music is different from other subjects in that on a math test, you can get like a 95 and be good with it. But with music, if you only play 95% of the notes, it's not going to sound right. So you
Yeah, exactly.
have to give a 100% and you can't like you like it's a subject where you have to give all you can give and accurately do it and like persevere like you were saying,
Yeah,
otherwise it's not going to work out, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so coming into my next question, so basically let me explain why we've been doing this. So for my class, I'm in a business class, an entrepreneurship class, and what we have been doing was since the beginning of the semester, we've been forced to interview people like we don't even know them and just interview people and try to find problems within the world. And so through my interviews, I began like looking at just kind of online teaching because of COVID. And then it sort of got closer to like music education because I was able to interview my brother, who is a general music teacher in Virginia.
Okay.
And so he's been doing that and he's totally passionate about music and everything. So I got his take, and then it started getting to the point where it's like access to this education, like since the COVID transition, but also I think aside from COVID, like there is a limit to who can access music and musical resources.
Mhm.
So now in the semester, we're transitioning to sort of kind of figuring out what the problem exactly is and finding solutions to it. So each week we're forced to like interview a number of people and just reach out to all these people that would potentially help us. So that's why I was reaching out to you. But so my team and we basically have had to form teams with people who we thought we like their problem. So I had people who came to me with this problem. So now we're kind of in the process of like finding solutions, I guess, which these are nowhere near like possible businesses or anything, but they're just like ideas that we've thought of. And I'd like to see what your opinions of them are. So
Okay.
the first one we thought of was similar to what you guys base your foundation off of, but is like after school programs where it would give students access to instruments and like resources and guidance, which would allow them to just have like supplementary music education that they might not normally have. The second thing that we were thinking of, which kind of goes, the second two ideas are not necessarily restricted just to like students in elementary school or high school. It's just to the general public, I think, who might want to access instruments. But our second idea was like monthly subscriptions to instruments with like lesson videos and like guidance. And that way we were thinking like if someone wanted to test out one instrument, they could test it out and subscribe to it for like a month. And if they want to continue doing like that instrument, they could continue for a couple more months or switch it and try new instruments. And then the third idea that we came up with was people in like your neighborhood or community, if they have an instrument that they don't use, they could rent it to you or like loan it to you so that you could like have access to an instrument that you normally wouldn't have. And so, yeah, do you have any thoughts on those or any opinions on any of those?
Well, it sounds like your thoughts is exactly what we're doing already.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, it sounds
That's why
like,
when I found you guys' page, I was like, oh my gosh, these people are doing exactly what we were just thinking of. And I was like, I need to talk to them and see what they like how they've done it. So yeah.
yeah. And a lot of our instruments that we have are people who had instruments and that they were using and they donated. We have an access to instruments program, and in this program, each program is at a different economic level. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are on the lowest economic level, with $25, you can instrument for the whole entire year as a loaner. That's $25.
Wow.
Yeah, that's $25. The next one is your access. You know what? I could show it to you on the website, but it's all on the website. And the
Yeah.
next one, let me show you right fast. I can't share because
Actually, I think I have the website. I have the website pulled up.
okay.
Where is it that I should look?
Go to access to instruments. You see that?
Um, oh, yes.
Uh, and on that page, if you scroll down, it tells you the different fees and stuff like that. You see that?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Uh-huh. That's there.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Because
But
I'm like I come from a very musical family. Like I grew up with music. I played instruments since I was like I played the clarinet when I was in elementary school and went all the way through high school playing in band. My brothers both did, and my one brother was all well, I was also in like musicals and stuff like that all through high school. And then my oldest brother, who is the music teacher, he was like like he still is, he's an amazing singer, and he went to like um all state, all regionals, and then he went to all nationals in at the
wow.
Kennedy Center and performed there. And so he like majored in music education and music performance, so like music's always been a big part of my life. So I like that is great because it's like I understand, like I was fortunate enough to have a clarinet that my mom played when she was young, so like I know
Ah,
what I had to do
okay.
with that. And but I know for a fact that like many of my peers had to like pay for or rent their instruments and stuff like that, and that can be so costly. So I totally like understand how important it is that with what you guys are doing and everything.
You know, it's funny you said when I grew up in Clay County, Georgia, and Clay County is the poorest county in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we did not have music in our schools at all.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happened a lot of my friends' parents were sharecroppers, meaning they worked for other families on the farms,
Right.
but my family were landowners. So my great grandfather actually purchased land in 1881. So we were like and it's still in our land in our family.
Yeah.
And so when my mother uh, became a teacher and I began to take piano lessons, I was the only person in my school taking music lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got to high school, well, see, I went to Clay County, right? Clay
Mm-hmm.
County is so small, you can't have one high school. Our neighboring county was Randolph County, right? So when I got to high school at Randolph Clay High School, that's when I saw all of my friends taking piano lessons because they were from Randolph County. So
Yeah.
I was able to join the band because my mother had money for an instrument, but I was the only person in the band from Clay County. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because they didn't have it, and so like I was always that example of the person playing music, but it was simply because I had access. I had more resources.
Exactly. And like that kind of, because so I was fortunate. I had general music and everything like since I was in elementary school and all the
Wow.
way through high school, which was really nice. And so I don't like know what it's like to not have that, you know?
Uh,
And my brother, because we're from New York, and
okay.
so where I grew up, I like my graduating class had 58 people in it. Like I'm from a small town and everything. And my brother, he ended up in Virginia because he went to James Madison University.
Mhm.
And so when he got his teaching job, he actually, I'm not sure if you know where this is, but he started in a town called Colonial Beach, Virginia. And
Okay.
it's a real small, like retirement town and everything. And the school he actually taught at, like had no music program whatsoever for their elementary school. So he was like the first person to really like start it and get it up and running and everything. And so yeah, like it's different for me because I like hearing these perspectives because I've never had, like I've been fortunate to have the opportunity to like enjoy music all through growing up and everything. And I know people aren't as fortunate and don't have that. So it's nice to hear those perspectives.
Mm, yeah. I mean, and then on the other side of that, like Clay County, my school was 99% poor African American. And that's why my school is now Heritage, like 98% poor African American. And so when each school has autonomy to figure out to choose what we're gonna do, most of the time music is on the chopping block or the art, because it's not something you can measure with numbers.
Right.
So I'm saying everything now is a numbers game, data game, test scores, math, reading. And so if you're in that area and you're focused on trying to keep, your well, I don't know, get all that. I mean, I don't know the answer. But what I'm saying, I will say this: after we lost our band program, all right, the very next year, my school was voting on my job as a general music teacher, all right, and that's when I decided to get involved. And in the charter system model, we're the school governance council, right? So every school has a governance council, and I ran for the governance council, and so now I know how the money works now because I was actually on that council.
Yeah.
And so I think the breakdown in our system, and like I was saying, in our system is if the state of Georgia is giving us X amount of dollars and saying this is what you have to use, our schools are trying to figure out, okay, how are we gonna do what we need to do in these parameters, right? Say another school will say, well, this is what we have, but we have resources elsewhere too, right? Like we're not gonna let our music program, your PTA comes together, right? That's where your PTA can sing. Other people get in. We're not gonna let this happen to where in a poor community, they don't have the this money to say, we're gonna do this.
Right.
It's simply whatever they give us, we're gonna have to make do because we don't have on our own to. So it's that word is equity in schools. And so I mean like none of the schools, I mean, are you gonna use this just for your class, right?
Yeah.
All right. I don't say anything like we said that. Like in our system, only this I would say this, the way it's set up in our system, most of the schools in the South cluster lost their music, not up north.
Right.
Because again, north has more resources.
Right.
And so it's just so yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. What I was saying.
Yeah, it does. It does make sense.
Yeah. So.
Well, I don't have really any other questions to ask you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, or if you have anyone else that you think I should contact?
Well, I am elated that you're even talking about this right now. You actually researched this topic to try to find answers.
Yeah.
That how old are you? What, 19, 20?
I'm 21.
Yeah, that gives me hope. That gives me hope that that for that next generation.
Yeah.
That that my kids probably want to go through this, or maybe like because right now I'm only figuring my mind now is how can I get my kids what they want or what they need. Period. Right. I don't look at big picture anymore outside of the school anymore. Not saying I don't care what happens in the big picture, but right now I'm focused on how can I get our kids what they need right now. And so hearing someone else in New York talking about big picture music as a whole gives me hope. Gives me it inspires me. I can't I don't have the energy to fight that fight anymore. But to know somebody 21 coming behind me, researching this topic, So thank you for doing your work.
Aw, you're so sweet. I feel like this is like, I really enjoyed this class and everything. And it's nice because now it's like to the point where we're getting excited about these. Like I'm excited to like find more information about all this and like to talk to people like you and like I didn't think going into this semester I was going to be interviewing someone who lives in Georgia about music, but I am. And it's like, I feel like it's helped me mature and like realize like like these issues are real, and to be able to discuss them with someone who lives across the country, like I feel like that's really awesome. So,
You know, I don't think people understand how much music, well, learning a craft empowers a child. You know, that's, this is something like you said, like I can't just play 95% of the notes and get the song right.
yeah.
Watching last story, I did last year. At the end of the year, I did a recital. Now, this is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students, right? And I wanted to do a recital outside of the school, at a church. I wanted a nice recital for my students. Because at the time, I only had about 10% of my students gave me 100% in class.
Yeah.
And I wanted to highlight the students that put the work, put the time in.
Right.
And so when I brought the idea to my band students, one student was like, "When was that? Why are you only using them?" I was like, "Well," she said, "Well, why are you choosing them?" I was like, "Well, I'm choosing based on motivation, right?" And I gave them a story about when I was in the Marine Corps. I was called a motivator, right? Because we would be running like long distance or whatever. And they would call me out at the last stretch, and I would call cadence to motivate them to cross the street. Right? They get hyped, yeah. And so it's not about who plays the best, but who's motivated to finish.
Yeah.
Right? Put the time in. And they say, "Well, I can do it too, Mr. Taylor. Well, I can do it too, Mr. Taylor." And so what I did was I assessed every child where they were, and I wrote. And I, because I'm also a composer, and I wrote each child a piece where they were, and every child played their piece, and it was so inspiring to me that they actually put in the effort. It's because like they always talk about rigor, make it rigorous, and to see all of my children, all of my students put in the time and go in front of their peers and their parents and play their piece, I was so proud.
Aww.
Yeah, and they did it,
Yeah.
and they did it because they wanted to show their parents that they could play it too.
Right.
And so, yeah.
It's funny that you bring up like the Marine Corps and everything, because my dad is a Marine, or he was.
Really?
Yeah, so I've heard stories like that too, and I like totally understand that. But yeah.
The dad's Marine. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I don't really have anything else. I've really appreciated talking to you, though. It's been fun, and I appreciate all the information you've given me. I think it's going to be very useful going forward.
And I hope you gained what you were looking for.
Yeah, I definitely did. Well, have a nice evening. It was nice meeting you and nice talking with you. And thank you.
All right, you too, Carly. Nice to meet you too, Carly.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.